Have you ever given absolutely everything you had? Your time, your energy, your sleep, your tears, your very last drop of strength, and still, at the end of it all, felt completely and utterly hollow? Have you ever lain awake at 3 in the morning staring at the ceiling, asking yourself a question that you couldn't quite put into words, but felt deep in your chest like a stone sitting right where your heart is supposed to be? Have you ever smiled at someone helped them through their worst moment, carry their weight when they couldn't carry it themselves? And then when you finally turned around and needed anyone, just one single soul to show up for you, found nothing but silence. Not even a whisper, not even a glance, just silence. If that has ever happened to you, and if you're being honest with yourself right now, truly honest, not the version of honest you perform for other people, but the real, raw, unguarded kind, then what you're about to hear is not just a story, it is a mirror. And sometimes, the most powerful thing in the world is not advice, not a lecture, not a list of things you should do differently. Sometimes, the most powerful thing is simply seeing yourself clearly for the very first time. Seeing the truth of who you are, what you've been doing, and why. Despite all of it, despite every single sacrifice and every ounce of effort, you still feel like something is missing. Now, this story begins in a valley, a green, beautiful, lush valley. The kind of place that looks like it was painted by someone who loved the world very much. There was a river running through the middle of it, cool and clear, catching the light of the sun in the mornings and glittering like scattered diamonds. There were wide open fields of grass, soft and thick underfoot, the kind of grass that makes you want to lie down and just breathe. There were old trees with wide trunks and sprawling branches. Trees that had been standing so long they had seen generations come and go, had watched lives begin and end, had felt the weight of seasons changing over and over again without complaint, without drama, simply enduring, simply being there. And in this valley, there lived many animals. There was the cow, broad-shouldered and slow-moving, with a low voice and a permanent air of mild self-importance. There was the goat, quick and clever, always scheming, always looking for an angle, always just a little bit too sharp for her own good. There was the sheep, gentle and soft-spoken, the kind of creature who never caused trouble directly, but somehow always managed to benefit from it. There was the monkey, quick and chatty, full of energy, full of excuses, full of grand plans that he always needed someone else to carry out for him. There were the birds who nested in the old trees, gossiping and singing and watching everything from above. There were the rabbits who darted through the undergrowth, busy with their own small lives. There were so many creatures in this valley, all of them going about their days, all of them living and breathing and wanting, and needing all of them bound together in the way that any community is bound. By proximity, by habit, by the unspoken agreements that form between people, or in this case between animals, when they share the same space for long enough. And then there was the donkey. Now, before we go any further, I want you to really think about the donkey for a moment. Not the cartoon version, not the symbol of stubbornness you might have in your head. No, think about what a donkey actually is. Think about what a donkey actually does. A donkey is a working animal. It is built for labor. It has strong legs and a broad back and endurance that most creatures can only dream of. A donkey can carry weight 4 hours without stopping. A donkey can work in heat, in cold, on rough ground, uphill, through mud and stone and difficulty, and keep going. A donkey doesn't complain in a way that anyone listens to. A donkey doesn't ask for much. A donkey simply does what it has always done, what it was shaped by life and circumstance to do. It works. It carries. It endures. And this particular donkey, the one who lived in the green valley near the river, was the finest example of his kind that anyone in the valley had ever seen. He was strong in a way that was almost frightening. He was tireless in a way that made the other animals shake their heads in quiet disbelief. He was willing in a way that no one ever truly appreciated. Because willingness, true willingness, the kind that doesn't demand reward or recognition, is so rare that most of us don't even recognize it when we see it. We just take Italiano, we just say Italiano, and then we move on. Every single morning before the sun had even begun to think about rising, before the sky had shifted from black to gray, before the birds had stirred in their nests, or the dew had settled on the grass, the donkey was already awake, already on his feet, already moving. He would stand at the edge of the field in the dark and breathe the cool air and feel the quiet of the world around him, and something in him, something deep and old and rooted, would stare. Not excitement, exactly. Not joy, more like purpose. Like the feeling of knowing what you are for, what your place in the world is, what you are supposed to do. He would begin his rounds before anyone else was awake. He knew every corner of the valley, every path, every slope, every place where the ground was soft or hard or tricky underfoot. He knew where the heavy loads were kept, who needed what, which tasks had been left unfinished the day before and would need attending to in the morning. He carried this knowledge the way he carried everything else, quietly, without fuss, without any expectation that it would be acknowledged. The cow needed her grain moved from the storage barn to the feeding area every morning. It was heavy work. The sacks were dense and awkward and not easy to maneuver, especially on the uneven path between the barn and the field. But the donkey did it. Every morning, without being asked, because the cow had asked once, months ago, and the donkey had said yes. And somehow that yes had become forever, had become expected, had become, in the cow's mind, something that donkeys simply did. As naturally as breathing, as automatically as sunrise. The goat needed her cart pulled twice a week, sometimes 3 times when she was trading goods with the animals on the far side of the valley. The cart was old and heavy and its wheels were worn, which meant it dragged and resisted and required twice as much effort as a well-maintained cart would have needed. The donkey pulled it anyway. He pulled it through the mud in the rainy season, and through the dust in the dry season, and through the biting cold of the early mornings. When his muscles ached and his breath came out in clouds, and the goat sat up in the cart without a word of thanks, just looking ahead, just expecting to arrive where she needed to arrive. The sheep needed help moving her food supply every few days. The sheep was not lazy exactly. She worked hard at the things she chose to work at. But she had a way of making every task feel like it was just slightly beyond her. Like it would be so much easier if someone else would just step in and handle it. And the donkey always stepped in. He moved the food. He arranged the bales. He carried the heavy stuff and left the sheep to manage the lighter things, and even then he sometimes did those too. Because the sheep would stand there looking overwhelmed, and the donkey could not bear to see that look and walk away from it. There were others too. The rabbit who needed a load carried across the valley before market day. The birds who needed materials brought up to where they were building their nests. The monkey, and we will get to the monkey in detail, because the monkey deserves his own chapter, who always had some enormous project on the go that he had started with tremendous enthusiasm, and then discovered required far more physical effort than he had anticipated, or was willing to put in himself. There was always something. There was always someone, and the donkey was always there. Now, here's the thing that I want you to sit with for a moment. Here is the thing that I want you to really feel. Not just understand intellectually, but feel in your body, in that part of you that knows things before your brain does. The donkey was not helping all of these animals because someone was forcing him to. He was not helping them because he had been enslaved or coerced or threatened. He was helping them because he wanted to. Because deep in his heart, in the very center of who he was, there lived a belief so fundamental, so thoroughly woven into everything he thought and felt and did, that he had never once examined it, never once held it up to the light and asked whether it was true. The belief was this: if I help everyone, they will respect me. That's it. That simple, that quiet, that devastating. If I help everyone, they'll respect me. If I am always there, always willing, always capable, always saying yes, they will see me. They will value me. They will love me. And I will matter. I will be important. I will be needed. And being needed is the same as being loved, isn't it? If I am useful enough, if I give enough, if I carry enough, if I sacrifice enough, then surely the equation will balance. Surely the account will be settled. But here is the terrible truth about that belief. Here is the crack in the foundation of it. Here is the thing the donkey did not know. The thing that none of us know when we first begin living this way. Because how could we know? No one teaches us this. No one sits us down and says, listen carefully. This is important. This is one of the most important things you will ever learn. No one says it. so we have to learn it the hard way, through years and years of giving and giving and giving, until we are empty and broken and looking around wondering what went wrong. The truth is this: respect is not earned by availability. Respect is not earned by sacrifice. Respect is not earned by need. If you make yourself endlessly available, endlessly helpful, endlessly willing to say yes, what you earn is not respect. What you earn is expectation. You earn the assumption that you will always be there. You earn the right to be taken for granted. You earn a place in people's lives as the one who carries things, not the one who matters. And the donkey didn't know this yet. He was going to learn it. But first, he was going to suffer for it, and the suffering was going to be very real, and very deep, and very lonely. The other animals praised him, of course. They praised him constantly. This is one of the cruelest parts of this kind of life. The praise that comes so easily, so freely, so warmly, that it feels like love. You are so kind. You are so good. We don't know what we would do without you. What a wonderful creature you are. How lucky we are to have you. The words were genuine, in a shallow sort of way. The animals were not lying. Exactly. They did appreciate the donkey's help. They did fail in the moment of receiving it. Some warmth toward him. But appreciation that lives only in the moment of receiving is not the same as respect. It is not the same as love. It is not the same as the deep, quiet recognition of another being as something precious and irreplaceable. The praise felt good, though. It always doors in the beginning. The donkey would hear those words, and something in his chest would ease, just for a moment. He would feel seen, just briefly, and that brief feeling was enough to keep him going, enough to send him back out the next morning, back to the loads and the carts and the endless requests, because the memory of that warmth was just enough to sustain him through another day. But warmth is not nourishment. You cannot live on warmth alone, any more than you can live on the smell of food without eating it. And slowly, so slowly, he didn't even notice at first, the donkey was becoming malnourished. Not in his body was strong, almost impossibly so, but in his spirit, in his soul. In that deep inner place where every living being keeps their sense of themselves, their sense of their own worth, their sense of what they deserve from the world. Day by day, that place was emptying. Day by day, the work was taking more than he had and giving less than he needed. Day by day, the gap between what he gave and what he received was growing wider, and the donkey was falling deeper into it. And he didn't even have the language to describe what was happening to him, because no one had ever taught him that this was a thing that could happen, that you could give yourself away piece by piece until there was almost nothing left, and never notice until you were nearly gone. Let me tell you about one particular afternoon. It was hot, the kind of hot that presses down on you like a physical weight, that makes the air shimmer above the ground, and drains the color from the sky until it looks bleached and flat and exhausted. The kind of hot that makes you want to stop moving, stop thinking, stop existing for a little while, just until the world cools down enough to be bearable again. The donkey had been working since before dawn. He had carried the grain for the cow. He had pulled the goat escort all the way to the far side of the valley and back, which was a journey of several hours each way, through terrain that was hard on the legs even in good conditions, brutal in the heat. He had moved the sheep's food supply. He had helped a family of rabbits shift a load of timber they needed for repairs to their burrow. He had done all of this without stopping to eat properly, without drinking enough, because there was always something else that needed doing, and it felt selfish to stop when others were waiting. And then, near the middle of the afternoon, near the river where the water was cool and the shade of the old willow trees made the air slightly more breathable, the donkey's legs gave way. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a collapse in the movie sense, with a crash and a cloud of dust and everyone turning to look. It was quiet and slow, almost gently. His front legs buckled first, then his back, and he went down to the ground the way a building goes down, when the supports had been quietly routing for years, not with an explosion, but with a long, inevitable settling. He lay on the bank of the river, and his breathing was ragged and heavy, and his body was burning from the inside, and the weight of every load he had ever carried seemed to settle on him at once, as though the world itself was pressing him into the earth. Ilai, Tere. And here is what happened. Here is the part that I need you to really hear, because this is not embellishment. This is not added for dramatic effect. This is the simple, Devastating truth of what it looks like when you have given everything to everyone and have nothing left. And cannot go on. This is what it looks like when the world you have carried decides not to carry you. The goat walked past. She glanced at the donkey lying in the dirt and said, "The sheep came along the path shortly after." She saw the donkey on the ground, his sides heaving, his eyes half closed with exhaustion, and she said, "After you've rested a bit, can you help me shift my food? It's been waiting since this morning," and she moved on. No one stopped. No one asked if he was all right. No one knelt beside him and said, "What happened? Are you in pain? What do you need?" No one brought water. No one offered shade. No one sat with him in the dirt and simply said, "I see you. I see how hard you work. I see how tired you are. I see you." Nothing. The donkey lay there alone, listening to the river, feeling the sun on his back, and somewhere inside him, in that place that had been emptying for so long, the last of something gave way. Not with anger, not with bitterness, with something quieter and more devastating than either of those things. With grief, wheat, the slow, silent understanding of someone who has finally received a truth they had been avoiding for a very long time. He lay there until the sun began to drop, until the heat eased and the shadows lengthened and the birds began their evening songs. And then, slowly, with tremendous effort, he got back to his feet. Because that's what the donkey did. He got back up, not because anyone was watching. Not because anyone cared whether he did or not, but because something in him simply could not stop. Something in him was not yet ready to know what it meant to truly stop. That night, the donkey did not sleep well. He lay in his shelter and looked up at the wooden slats of the roof, and through the gaps between them he could see the stars, faint and cold and impossibly far away. And inside his chest, the question that had been forming for months: why do I feel so empty? Not why does my body hurt? Not why am I tired? Those were easy questions with obvious answers. Why? Despite everything he did, despite all the work, and all the help, and all the sacrifice, why did he feel like a shadow of himself? Why did he feel lying there alone while the stars burned cold and far above him? Like he had given away something that could not be given back, something essential and irreplaceable. And he didn't even know when it had happened or how to get it back. He didn't have the answer. Not yet. But the question had been asked, and that though he didn't know it then was the beginning of everything. The next morning, the monkey came. Now, I want to talk to you about the monkey, because the monkey is important. The monkey is a character you will recognize. You have met the monkey, maybe in your workplace, maybe in your family, maybe in your circle of friends. The monkey is the one who is always full of energy, always full of ideas, always starting things, always enthusiastic at the beginning. The monkey is charming and entertaining and sometimes genuinely brilliant, and you always want to believe in the monkey. Because the monkey's excitement is infectious, and it feels good to be near someone who believes so completely in what they read doing. But here's the thing about the monkey. The monkey's excitement for starting things is exactly matched by his reluctance to do the hard, unglamorous, physical work of actually finishing them. The monkey loves the vision. The monkey loves the idea. The monkey loves talking about the project and thinking about the project and imagining what the project will look like when it is done. What the monkey does not love, what the monkey will go to considerable lengths. And so the monkey, inevitably, always ends up looking for someone else to do that part. And in this valley, the monkey always looked for the donkey. So the monkey came running that morning, quick and brighted, and brimming with the kind of energy that the donkey had not felt in months, maybe longer. He came bounding up to where the donkey was standing, still stiff from the day before, still carrying the weight of the question he'd asked himself in the dark. "I need your help," the monkey said, barely pausing for breath. "I've found these stones. Brilliant stones, perfect for what I am building. But they are too heavy for me to move on my own. I just need you to shift them to the other side of the valley. It won't take long, an hour, maybe 2 at the most. You'll barely notice." And the donkey hesitated. This is the moment. This is the moment I want you to notice, because it is so easy to miss, because it passes so quickly, because the voice of hesitation is so quiet compared to the voice of guilt. For the first time, maybe truly the first time, Something inside the donkey resisted. Something pushed back against the automatic yes that had been his response to every request for as long as he could remember. Something in him felt the weight of yesterday, and it said, quietly, almost too quietly to hear no. Not this time, but then. The other voice came. It came fast, and it came hard, and it knew exactly where to press. What if they think I am bad? What if they think I am selfish? What if they stop liking me? What if I lose the only thing I have? Their approval, their warmth, their brief moments of praise. And the donkey said yes. He said yes because he didn't yet know how not to. He said yes because the fear of being seen as unkind was greater than the knowledge of how broken he was. He said yes because somewhere in the tangle of his beliefs, usefulness and worthiness had become so knotted together that he could not separate them. Could not imagine being worth something without being useful. Could not imagine having value without providing it to someone else first. So he went. He went with the monkey to where the stones were, and he began to move them. And the work was exactly as hard as he'd known it would be. Maybe harder, because he was not recovered from the day before. Because his body was still talking to him in the language of pain, and he was trying not to listen. He moved the stones, one by one. Slowly. Steadily. With less strength than he usually had and more effort than the work should have required. And halfway through, his legs began to shake. Not buckle this time. Not collapse, just shake. Tremble. The fine, persistent tremor of muscles pushed past their limit, asking to stop, begging to stop, making their distress known in the only language a body has. The donkey slowed. He stopped between stones and breathed. He tried to gather himself, and the monkey, who had been watching from a comfortable distance, watching and chatting and gesturing enthusiastically at where he wanted each stone placed, turned and looked at the donkey's slow progress with an expression that was not concern, was not compassion, was not anything close to empathy. The expression was irritation. "You're slowing me down," the monkey said. Just that. "You're slowing me down." Not, "Are you all right?" Not, "You seem like you're struggling. Let me help." Not, "We can do this another time." Just that cold, flat, thoughtless statement. "You're slowing me down." As if the donkey were a tool that had started to malfunction. As if his exhaustion were an inconvenience being imposed upon the monkey, rather than the entirely predictable consequence of a living creature being pushed beyond his limits day after day after day. And then the monkey shook his head, gathered what stones he could carry himself. Not many. Not heavy. And walked away. Just walked away. Left the donkey standing in the middle of a half-finished job, trembling, alone, with the weight of the stones and the weight of everything else pressing down on him. The donkey stood there for a long time. He didn't collapse this time. He held himself together, through sheer will, through some reserve of stubbornness or dignity, or maybe just the refusal to let himself be seen falling apart again. He stood in the middle of the work that had been abandoned, and he breathed and he felt things that he didn't have words for. Things that were a mixture of humiliation and sorrow and something that was beginning, very slowly, to feel like anger. Not the hot, righteous kind, but the cold, quiet kind. The kind that comes not from being attacked, but from being dismissed. From being made to feel like you don't matter. Like your pain is an inconvenience. Like your limits are a character flaw. He didn't finish the stones. He turned around and walked back toward the valley. And it was perhaps the first time in his life that he had left a job unfinished. And the sky didn't fall. The earth didn't crack. The world continued, indifferent and vast, and entirely unbothered by whether one donkey in one valley finished moving one pile of stones. That evening, as the light turned golden and long across the fields, as the day began to cool, and the insects came out and the birds settled into their evening routines, the donkey found himself near the edge of the old woodland that bordered the valley to the east. He was not sure how he had come to be there. He had simply walked, following no particular path, led only by exhaustion and the need to be somewhere that wasn't near the demands of others. And there, making his slow and deliberate way along the mossy path at the edge of the trees, was the turtle. Now, the turtle was old. Genuinely, deeply, profoundly old. In the way that some creatures are old. Not just in years, but in knowing. He moved slowly, but there was nothing frail about him. His shell was thick and worn and marked by decades of living. His eyes were small and dark and very, very still. The eyes of someone who has seen enough of the world to have stopped being surprised by it, who has moved past the noise and drama of things and arrived at a place of quiet understanding that most of us spend our whole lives trying to reach without ever quite getting there. The turtle had been in this valley longer than any of the other animals could remember. He had been here before the cow, before the goat, before the sheep, before the monkey. He had watched many lives unfold in this green place by the river. He had seen many creatures rise and fall and learn, and sometimes not learn and carry on regardless. He had seen the particular story the donkey was living many times before, in many different forms, in many different animals, and he recognized it the way you recognize a song you haven't heard in years. Immediately, completely, with a kind of ache in the chest. He looked at the donkey, and what he saw was not what most of the other animals saw when they looked at the donkey. Most of them saw a useful creature, a means to an end, something that carried things. The turtle looked at the donkey and saw a living being in tremendous pain, wearing his exhaustion and his grief, the way some creatures wear a wound they have learned to work around. Not healed, not treated, just accommodated, just tolerated, day after day, while the damage spreads. "You look broken," the turtle said. His voice was quiet and it was the voice of someone who had stopped being in a hurry a very long time ago and had found, upon stopping, that most things worth saying can be said without rushing. The donkey stopped walking. He stood there for a moment, not sure whether to continue, not sure whether he wanted this conversation, not sure of much of anything at that particular moment. But the turtle's words had landed somewhere true, and the truth of them had made him stay. "I help everyone," the donkey said. His voice came out rougher than he intended, scraped raw with something he hadn't known was there until the words came out. "But I feel invisible." The turtle nodded slowly. It was a nod that contained no surprise, no judgment, no performance of sympathy. It was simply the nod of someone who understands exactly what they are hearing. "Tell me," the turtle said, after a moment. "When was the last time someone helped you?" The donkey opened his mouth. He was going to answer. He was going to say something. Give some example. Name some instance. Because surely there must be one. Surely in all the months and years of helping and carrying and always being there. Surely someone, at some point, had done something for him. Surely the equation was not as lopsided as it seemed in this moment. But the words didn't come. He searched through his memories, through the months, through the seasons, through the countless mornings and long afternoons and exhausted evenings, and he found nothing. Not because no one had ever been briefly kind to him, not because no one had ever said a warm word or offered a gesture, but because genuine help, the kind where someone shows up for you, uninvited, because they noticed you needed it, because they cared enough to do something rather than simply say something that had not happened. Not once, not that he could recall. The silence went on, and the turtle let it. He didn't fill it, didn't rush past it. He let the silence do its work. Let the donkey sit in the truth of the answer that wasn't coming. Let the weight of the realization settle. Finally, the turtle spoke again. "You are not kind," he said. His voice was gentle, the way a doctor's voice is gentle when they tell you something difficult, when they say the words that are hard but that you need to hear. "You are available." The donkey felt those words like a hand pressing on a bruise. He winced, without meaning to. "You are not kind," the turtle repeated. "Kindness is a choice. Kindness is something you give from a place of wholeness, from a place of abundance, from a place where you have enough yourself and you want to share it. Kindness is generous and warm and genuine. That is something else. That is fear wearing the mask of generosity. That is the desperate hope that if you give enough, you will finally be loved enough." The donkey was very still. "You've given," the turtle continued. "But you have not been given to. You've carried, but you have not been carried. And every creature has a limit, and you, my friend, are very close to that place. Perhaps you have already crossed it. So should I stop helping?" the donkey asked. His voice was small. The question was genuine, not rhetorical. He truly did not know the answer. Helping was the only language he had for love. The only way he knew to matter. If he stopped helping, what was left? No, the turtle said. Not harshly. Firmly. Stop helping those who take without care. Boundaryless help is the problem. Helping without self-respect is the problem. When you help from a depleted place. When you give what you do not have. When you sacrifice what you cannot afford to lose. You are not being kind. You are harming yourself. And no relationship, no friendship, no community is worth that. He thought about the years of grain and carts and loads. And always saying yes. They praised me, he said, almost to himself. They said I was good. They said they needed me. Words are easy, the turtle said. Watch what people do, not what they say. Watch who stays when you stop being useful. Watch who checks on you without being asked. Watch who remembers that you are a creature with needs of your own, not just a creature with a strong back and a willing heart. Those are the ones worth giving your help to. Those are the ones worth your time and your energy and your love. Everyone else say let them find their own way. That was the conversation. That was the moment. Now, I want to pause here, and I want to talk to you directly, honestly, without any of the story to hide behind about what the turtle said, because I think there's something in it that is easy to hear and hard to receive. It sounds straightforward. We've all heard these things, or had a friend say them to us over a cup of tea. And we nod, we agree. We say, yes. That's right, absolutely. That makes total sense. And then we go home and we say yes to the thing we didn't want to say yes to. Because the guilt is unbearable. Because the fear of being seen as unkind is overwhelming. Because we have been trained by our upbringing, by our experiences, by 1,000 small moments that added up to a belief that our value is tied to our usefulness. And if we stop being useful, we stop being valuable. And if we stop being valuable, we stop being loved. This is not a small thing. This is not a habit you break in a week. And changing it requires something more than good intentions. It requires understanding. It requires practice. And slowly building a different way of being. The hardest one. The one that feels like it might break something. The one where your heart races and your palms sweat and every instinct screams that you're about to ruin everything that no. That is where it starts. The next morning, the donkey woke before the sun, as he always had. He stood in the early dark and breathed the cool air and felt the familiar pull of purpose. But something was different. Not enough to change the room entirely, but enough that the room felt different. Enough that you noticed. He thought about what the turtle had said. He turned the words over in his mind, feeling their shape, their weight. Not a declaration, just a quiet, internal settling. The kind that happens when you finally accept something you've been resisting for a long time. He would try. He would try to say no. He would try it once and see what happened, and try to survive the feeling. The cow came first. She always came first. She appeared at the edge of the field as the sky was beginning to lighten, walking with that slow, heavy certainty she always had, as if the world was obliged to wait for her. It was the announcement of an expectation. Have moved past it, have arrived at the place where the thing they want is simply assumed to be coming. The donkey took a breath, a real one, deep and deliberate and slow. No, he said. Just that. One word. 2 letters. It was almost comical. The surprise on her face. The sheer incredulity of it. The way she blinked and tilted her heavy head as though she had misheard. As though the donkey must have said something else. Something that made more sense. What? She said. No, the donkey said again. And inside his chest, his heart was doing extraordinary things. Racing, hammering, shouting at him that this was wrong. That this was going to end badly. That he needed to take it back. Say he'd made a mistake. Apologize. Offer to do twice as much tomorrow. Inside his chest, everything was chaos. They were said with that particular flavor of disapproval that people use when they mean, you have stopped behaving in a way that benefits me, and I am choosing to frame this as a character flaw in you. I am tired, the donkey said again. I will not carry more today. And he didn't. He turned and he walked away, and his legs were shaking. and the guilt was enormous, pressing on him from all sides. And he thought about the cow standing there behind him, with her wide eyes and her disapproval. And every step away from her felt like fighting a current, like walking against a river. But he kept going. The goat heard about it, of course. Word moves fast in a small valley. By mid-morning, the goat knew. By mid-morning, she'd told the sheep. By afternoon, the monkey knew, and the birds had picked it up and were chirping it to anyone who'd listen. The donkey said no to the cow. The donkey refused to help. He thinks he's important now. The goat laughed. That particular laugh that means, look at this presumptuous creature who doesn't know their place. A bright, dismissive laugh, designed to be heard, designed to land on the donkey's ears and make him feel small and foolish and wrong. The sheep was more strategic about it. She didn't laugh, she whispered. She leaned in close to whoever was nearest and said, in that soft, concerned tone she had, the tone that sounds like worry but is actually something else, something sharper. He's becoming selfish. I hope he's all right. It's just not like him. As though the donkey's refusal were a symptom of illness, a sign that something had gone wrong with him, rather than a sign that something had finally, painfully, started going right. Selfish. That word. That word that is used more often than almost any other word to control people who are beginning to recognize their own limits. Selfish. Because in a world where you have been defined by your giving, the moment you stop giving, you become selfish. The moment you say I cannot today, you are selfish. The moment you protect yourself, the moment you honor your own exhaustion, the moment you treat your own well-being as a legitimate concern, selfish. That word is a cage. It is a cage built out of other people's comfort and expectations, and it is used to keep the people who give the most locked inside, keep them giving, keep them available, keep them useful, because without them, the takers have to take care of themselves. And the takers do not want to do that. The donkey heard the word. He heard the laughter. He heard the whispers. He felt them. The way you feel wind, you can't see it, but it moves through you. And something strange happened. He felt lighter. Not the lightness of having solved everything. Not the lightness of relief exactly. More like the particular lightness of a burden that has been set down. Even briefly, even just for one morning. The weight of the cow's expectation and the goat's demands and the sheep's neediness. It was still there. In the world, still existing. But it was not on his back anymore. And for the first time in as long as he could remember, his back was just his back. Not a service. Not a tool. Just the back of a living creature who had the right to rest. He rested that day. Actually rested. Lay down in the shade of the old willow by the river. The same place where he had collapsed 2 days ago. And this time chose to be there. Listened to the water. Felt the cool air. Let the sounds of the valley wash over him without doing anything about them. Did not worry. Did not run through the list of things that needed doing and who needed what and when. Whose breathed just existed, just was. It felt foreign. It felt almost wrong. In the way that anything feels wrong when it contradicts a deeply held belief, even a wrong one. But underneath the wrongness, underneath the guilt and the strangeness, there was something else, something quiet and small and very old, something that might have been peace. Days went by, and the response from the valley was exactly what the donkey had feared, and also different from it. Some animals did stop talking to him. The cow was cool and distant. The goat avoided the paths he used. The monkey did not come back, not even to complain, which in its own way was a kind of gift. There was a period of social cold, not dramatic, not a confrontation, just a quiet withdrawal of warmth from those who had previously been warm. And the donkey understood that the warmth had always been conditional, had always been tied to his usefulness, had always been the warmth of being found useful rather than the warmth of being loved. That understanding hurt. It hurt in a clean way, the way some hurts do, not festering, not ongoing, just sharp and true, like setting a broken bone. Painful in the moment but necessary, better than leaving the break to heal wrong. And he noticed something else. Not all of the animals withdrew. Some of them, not many, but some stayed. stayed in the same way they always had. Came to talk to him, greeted him in the morning, asked how he was doing, and the donkey, who had never really paid attention to who stayed and who went because he had been too busy trying to keep everyone happy, now noticed, now saw, and the ones who stayed were the ones who had always been a little different, a little quieter about it, a little less loud in their praise, and a little more consistent in their presence. They were not the ones who had sung his praises the loudest. They were the ones who had simply, steadily, without fanfare, been there. And then the ox came. The ox was young, broad and strong, with a straightforward manner and very little patience for unnecessary complexity. He came to the donkey on a quiet afternoon and stood in front of him without preamble. "I need help," the ox said. "I have a load to move by the end of the week. It's heavy. Too heavy for one. I can't manage it alone." The donkey waited. In the past, this would have been his cue to say yes immediately. To say, "Of course, when do you need me? I'll be there." But something had changed. He was listening differently now. Listening not just to the words, but to what was behind them. "I'll work with you," the ox continued. "Half each. I'll do my share. I just need another set of strong legs." And there it was. The thing that made all the difference. The thing that the turtle had been pointing toward without saying directly. Not just someone asking. Someone offering. Someone coming not with their hand out, but with their sleeves already rolled up. Someone who saw this as a shared endeavor. Not a transaction where the donkey gave and the ox received. "All right," the donkey said, and this yes felt different from all the other yeses. It felt chosen. It felt deliberate. It felt like an act of genuine willingness rather than fearful compliance. They worked together, and it was different from every other job the donkey had done in recent memory. Because the ox worked, actually worked, kept pace, pulled his weight. When the donkey slowed, the ox slowed too, and checked, and offered a moment's rest. When the donkey needed to adjust his grip or shift his angle, the ox adjusted too, without complaint, without impatience, without sighing or looking at the sun to see how much daylight was being wasted. They worked as two animals working together, which sounds obvious, but was, to the donkey, almost entirely new. They finished the load. Both of them tired, both of them satisfied. The ox clapped the donkey on the shoulder. The kind of contact that is not gentle but is warm. The contact of equals, of people who have done something hard together and are glad of the company. And said, "Good work. Same time next week if you're free." The donkey looked at him. "I might be," he said. "Ask, Metin. Your time is coming. Keep believing. Keep fighting. Don't just watch. Go out and prove them wrong." Thank you for being part of the journey. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.